Talk Radio, you're in to all things music.
Yeah, it takes a lot of vulnerability. It's what people ask about musicians, and I say, well, you've got to be very vulnerable, or artists. You've got to be like a bleeding open wound, and at the same time, you have to develop a sort of mental toughness as well. It's a hard path to walk. You know, it's not all business. You know, you're creating art. You've got to be very vulnerable to receive the spirits, if you like. You know, it's vulnerability and toughness to get through it, want to make a life out of it.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Hey, everybody, it's Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by the Intertalk Radio Network. Guys, I got to tell you, I'm a little bit beside myself with joy today. Been a fan of this man and his former group from the way, way, way back days. Started back in 1977. A group called The Police got together and made musical history. Everybody thought that Sting was the pure voice of that band, but seems to be worldwide, and I've got to believe this also. The voice, the musical voice on guitar, was my studio guest today. Proud and privileged to bring on my air, my show, and please welcome with open arms and open ears, Mr. Andy Summers. Andy, welcome to Jackie's Groove, my friend.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
Good morning to you, my friend. I cannot believe it. The new album that we're going to talk about, Triboluminescence, your 14th solo album. Let's get right into it, my friend. Let's talk about the genesis of the album and that song, Adinkra, we just heard about. Let's talk about that song coming in. The audience wants to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, the song, Adinkra itself, how that came about. Yeah. Well, how do any of them come about? It's a huge thing.
True.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I've made many records. I'm used to being in the studio. Last year, 2015, I put out a record called Metal Dog, which actually didn't start out to be a CD. It was began to be Music for Dance, which was a project in New York, which, strangely enough, is sort of coming together now after it was sort of abandoned. So I was starting to make that record, and it got me into the studio and recording this way and playing this kind of music. It might have been a reaction to stuff I'd been in the previous couple of years. But the record went really well, and it kind of got me fired up, and I certainly felt that I was sort of back in the moment, back in this kind of zone, and I was quite inspired to continue on straight away with it. This CD that became Triboluminescence. I think one of the things that I'm trying to do with this music is, obviously there's a lot of improvisational spots and guitar soloing and all that, but I'm trying to make it sound very hip and modern and, have it, be very appealing, but coming out a slightly different way. And a lot of that's to do with, like, some of the textures I use, the rhythms, and a lot of this is drawn from various kind of world music, gamelan sounds, things like that. So to me, first I'm the audience. Amazing. First off.
Andy, let me ask you a question. Andy, what guitars did you employ on this album that you were playing? Your Tele, your Strat?
I don't think it doesn't really matter what the guitar is, does it?
Okay.
It's a set of pickups that generate a signal. But I have several guitars, and I mostly play Strat, one guitar, but it doesn't really matter that much.
Okay. And, so based upon this outreach of Triboluminescence itself, as opposed to the contrast of the other albums that you brought out, happy with the way it turned out?
Well, I don't think I would put it out if I wasn't happy with it.
Right.
You get to a point with all these things. No, let me finish. I think you have to let me finish. You get to a point with these things where you can go on and on and on, refining and doing. But I think there's a point when you have to sort of let it go. And I think that's really true. I go, all right, I think we're there. I could still be in there working on it. But,
I'm loving it. You think back to the history of Andy Summers. People don't realize out there that are not true in depth with you the fact of not just the fact that you're a musician, an incredible musician, but also an amazing photographer and an accomplished author. And and it goes all the way back to your time when you started with a band called Zoot Money Big Roll Band. That was. You want to talk about that at all in your beginning stages?
Well, we all have to start somewhere. I was a teenager, and I'd been playing the guitar since I was 11 or 12. Mm-hmm. And in my hometown, I met up with Zoot, actually, and we went to London together, with absolutely no prospects whatsoever, except, whatever talent we had. And, it was there. The talent was there, and we were lucky. We got hired very early on to be what they called a house band, a place called the Flamingo, which was notorious. And, that's where we started, and we became extremely successful. So really almost like the very first thing I did, I was a very successful band. Yeah, I
love it,
brilliant.
Man.
And, of course. At that age, it's amazing.
I just think it's amazing also, too, when I'm looking over your background, the films that you scored were just my favorite films in my soundtrack. Movies like 2010, one of my favorites, Down and Out in Beverly Hills. I love The Wildlife, and who doesn't love Weekend at Bernie's? And is there anything else you've got coming up that you're scoring on, anything that we should know about or you can talk about?
Well, yeah, I'm not doing so much of that now. I just sort of gave up pursuing that particular line of work. I suppose. I live in Los Angeles. I did a film last year. Turkish film, actually. That was kind of an interesting film to score. I did do that. And there's another one in the works that I'll probably get involved in sometime in the next 6 months to a year.
Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, well, film scoring is a whole other thing. You've got to be very dedicated, very into trying to stay in the game if you want to do it. For me, it's a little different because I became so famous, if you like, around the world as being the guitarist of the Police and everything. That it's provided me pretty much everything. Obviously financially and emotionally in a way, because I get to make what records I like, play where I like, and so on and so forth. So the life is very full without desperately trying to have a film scoring career, as it were.
I think it's also amazing too. I read your book, and I'm sure the entourage of people throughout the world, One Train Later, which was an inspiring book to sell back in 2006. That actually turned into a controversial documentary called "I Can't Stand Losing You." The surviving the police. How and why was that so controversial? Yes.
Well, I don't know that it was. That's the first time I've read that. What makes you say that?
Well, just everything I've read in the background itself, I understood, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure you will, that because of controversial, the fact that Sting and Stewart weren't really happy with what was written in that. And this is what I read on Wikipedia. Now, we can't believe everything we read. Do you want to stand corrected on that?
Absolutely. No, that's absolutely rubbish. I haven't seen it on Wikipedia. No, they were very, very sweet about it and completely supported me as I supported Stuart when he put out his film. They're very supportive, Of course, when you make something like that at that length and you write the book, first off, I wrote the book, which was a big hit, and they both very, gave me the nod on that. I think it surprised them. And then, it came to pass. The film came to pass not too much later. Well, it took a few years to put it together, but
right.
They were fine with it. In fact, as probably the best film there is on the police, I would say. I don't know if it's controversial. I don't think so. I mean, it's a story, my personal story, which obviously folds into the story of the police, but all told from my point of view. And obviously, I had all the photography as well that I did relentlessly from day one. So it was an unusual situation, but the film turned out great. So.
And I wanted to share with you, I have a dear friend of mine that actually can't wait to hear this interview, Miss Ann Wilson from the Band of Heart. She is a huge Andy Summers fan, if you didn't know that. So I told her I would bring that up to on the air.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, man.
Great band. Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, I interviewed her 2 weeks ago, and it was just amazing. Her and I have history when I used to work with a group called Tower of Power, and the years ago that we played. So actually, this question, Andy. Message in a Bottle, Roxanne, Don't Stand So Close to Me, Every Little Breath You Take, and every little thing she says is magic. Out of all those tunes, I know it's kind of choosing like who your favorite child is, but is there a favorite police tune that Andy cannot wait to play when he's up on stage?
No, I mean, they're all great. You know, there's no question about the songwriting and the strength of the tunes. They laugh. Just come back from playing the whole thing in Brazil like a few days ago. It's just raging. Like we never left. I always like playing Message in a Bottle. I mean, but you know, with all these songs, where you know, if you're doing it with the right people, you can go somewhere with them. You know, they've got internal strength, but I do like to play Message in a Bottle, in particular.
Is there a chance in that crystal ball that's sitting in front of your desk right now that the people want to know out there worldwide? Is there any chance of all for a possible reunion with Andy Stewart and Sting?
I don't really know. I mean, you know, we did the big reunion tour. We did 2 years. We did 150 shows. It was like literally the biggest tour of all time. Difficult to know. I mean, as far as I know, we all signed off. Sting said he wouldn't do it again. But I don't know. We're living in a different world. I mean, I can't say I wake up in the morning and think about it. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm more interested in what I'm doing at the time. I mean,
so back to Triboluminescence. Back to Triboluminescence real quick.
Right.
On the album and in correlation to also starting to do some live shows, do you want to talk about the band that you have employed to come out with you and share this magic?
Well, the band is me, actually.
Strictly.
I'm not proposing to go on tour with this as a live band. But what is something interesting just came on. I just tried this out just before I went to Brazil. Was I did a solo show at the Grammy Museum in Los Angeles, and I did a big interview. You know, it was a very nice event, and then I played to photography. I had a whole set of different. Yeah, it was really nice. All my nice sounds and their guitar sounds and everything. Then we had a big screen up, and I've done this a little bit before, but this was really good. You know, we streamed all the photography. It was sequenced, and then I played to it. And some of it I played just purely solo, and then we took a couple of tracks, like a Dinger, for instance, and took out the lead guitar and played the rest of it, and then I played a live lead guitar over it with the visuals. It was very, very successful. So I'm thinking more along those lines at the moment.
I mean, how very hip is the fact of being your own soundtrack to your own art exhibit?
Yeah.
I mean, that's as wild as it's going to get. Yeah. And with your art on the situation too, is this something that the public or the listening public and viewing public can purchase? Your artwork?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, I mean, these things are all set. Of course, the record is out. It's on Amazon now, and the vinyl will be coming out soon. I don't know. So it's definitely available for purchase. And photography-wise, I mean, the plan at the moment, we'll see how this year farms out if the guy actually does it. So to be putting out this current set of photography, everything shot in China with a company called Stidel. So they're based in Germany. I'm waiting to go over there. The book is all done, but I'm waiting, actually know that it's real. It's supposed to come out in October. So that would be the accompaniment to that, yeah.
And let's give a little shout out to Flickering Shadow Productions, and it's distributed by by Cargo Records out of the UK.
Yeah, that's right.
Wonderful.
That's the company I've been
then,
working through, and it's been very nice. Yeah, they're a big distribution company in the USA, and they distribute worldwide and all that. So this is the second record I've done with them.
let me ask you, as a veteran that you are in this industry and the icon that you are, and I want your opinion, and so do the listeners worldwide, based upon the music business of today, Andy, or the lack thereof. Are you optimistic? Are you pessimistic? What do you feel about the business of what's happening today?
Yeah, no, it's very difficult. Well, I mean, I certainly feel for young people, kids who want to start out, think, have the dream. It's going to be very difficult just to even pay the rent at this point. Playing music. It's not like the old days when I was starting. I'll be a musician. You should be a rock band. You might end up making millions of dollars. In fact, that didn't even exist when I started. It was just try and be a musician. You can probably survive. Now it's like, oh my God, I don't know. It's a grim, because obviously you're not going to. Most people, 95% aren't going to make a living from selling records. It's just that's not there anymore. So unless you're a live performer and you can figure that one out. Someone like me is different, because obviously I've done that, and absolutely, the desire to express and be creative, and the medium is, the recording medium, and I have no intention of stopping whatsoever. As long as I can keep going, making CDs, I will. That's the form for me. I don't see any reason to stop.
And Andy, I was talking to Ann Wilson. I was talking to Ann Wilson, and I was talking to Julia Fordham a couple days ago, and we're just talking about the fact that kids, the millennials, if you will, what they're missing out on these digital downloads. They're not getting that Tuesday record release where you're peeling back that plastic off that thing called an album or a CD, and you're bringing out the liner notes as you're listening to the music. I mean, that's a lost art, and a lot of labels now are starting to offer digital downloads on that. But it's it is what it is. I mean, people like you that have been in it, shape the music business the way it is, but because you think about it today, Andy, these shows that are out there, Journey and Styx and so on, that are still selling out stadiums. There's a reason for it, obviously. And but I want to talk about.
Listen,
go ahead.
I've just come back from it. I've just come back from Brazil, and this is sort of strange and outside of everything we've been talking about with Triboluminescence. But I've just come back from Brazil, playing with a band that we put down together. They're called, and the band's called Call the Police. Which
very cool.
This is something it's actually fantastic. And the two musicians I do it with, one is a guy called Rodrigo Santos from Red Baron, very famous, and he's a fantastic bass player, singer, and the drummer is João Baroni from the Paralamas, also completely legendary. So just because I've been going there a long time, so somebody got the three of us together. So it's like a superstar band, and the music is all the Police, because both those guys were hugely influenced by the Police back in the day. And man, we just creamed it down there. I mean, we had thousands of people every night raging away. So just to back up what you're saying, man, I don't know, that's the same thing, the trio, but we're playing all those songs and just killing it every night. It's people love it. There's no question about it.
Andy, and let me ask you this
some
question.
People, it's like a new experience. They didn't experience it quite like that. Like the big rock show with the lights and the fantastic sound and the guitar solos and everything. Yeah, it was very made you feel good.
And Andy, answer this question too. Since you've been all over this planet, how do the audiences differ around the world, from country to country, to your music or the music of the Police?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think they really differ that much. I mean, just the thing is, the music. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a leveler. It's a razor in a way. It sort of makes everybody. You get this. Well, and this is my experience. You get they start raging for the on the stage to the end. So it doesn't matter if they're actually Chinese, American, German, or whatsoever. I mean, my experience is that they tend to just put everyone in the same place, which is wonderful. It's this fantastic crowd, empathy. Mm-hmm. Everyone's in it together. It's one of those great moments when, a mass of human beings are all in the same place at the same time. It's very strong. It's a real high. I mean, I just doing this tour, like in Rio and Sao Paulo. Oh my God, yeah. I remember all this. It is a great feeling.
You know, Andy, you think back for a second. Do you remember what was going through your mind during your first guitar solo with the Police? What you were thinking at that time?
My first guitar solo, please. You're talking about like in a rehearsal room or in a...
No, in front of the stages itself. You've already passed the rehearsal. Now you're out in the masses. What was going through your mind?
Well, I mean, there's early stages where there was like virtually no one to see us, nobody liked us, and then of course a couple of years later it was a whole other ballgame. I mean, I think what you're looking at is when you're really standing there and you've got like 20 to 50,000 people in front of you. Now, these are the moments, of course, when you feel like it's just you alone on the stage, and go on, do your thing. It's this amazing feeling.
Is there a favorite place that Andy likes to play?
That again. Sorry?
Is there a favorite country? Is there a favorite country that you like to play the most?
Most of them are great. I mean, this music is pop everywhere. And I got to Brazil, I have to say.
I'm going to patronize you now because in Triboluminescence, I got to tell you that's one of my favorite tracks. And with your permission, can I bring that up for the audience to listen to right now?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Paul, please bring that up for Mr. Andrew Sanders. Extremely cool. And Andy, let me just tell you, as a percussionist, the whole vibe, the whole sound overall of in the background I'm hearing, but just laying down tracks of tabla, gyro, even conga or sordo, and a great Brazilian drum. What was the influence? What was the genesis behind that song?
Well, it's a strange and sort of dreamy sort of set of mental things that I go through where I'm trying to get this. I mean, actually, you've got that raw guitar solo, which is one take, believe it or not, very long, almost 9 minutes guitar solo. And I found a way to do it. I have to, with all these things, I have to strike an attitude. It's like, who am I? It's like an actor going on stage. Sometimes you sort of playing, but I'm trying to find that feeling. I'm going to find the scales and the licks and all the guitar playing, no problem. But I have to get where is it? And so there's a way I did that with the guitar. But the first thing was to get that groove. And what it came from is this track starts with this sort of call, like on an exotic instrument, before the groove starts. And I'd spent some time in quite a lot of time actually, Southeast Asia. In Indonesia, and there's an attraction to gamelan sounds, and I studied a lot of this stuff. So what I put together was this kind of almost like Balinese village call, and it's like a little orchestra that goes into the groove. It's got those sort of gamelan sounds. But then what makes it really happen is the drum groove that I put on it, which finally inspired the solo. I wasn't planning initially to put like a solo that was as flying as this one on it at all. I was searching around, but somehow I got this groove going, and I started to play to it, and oh my man, I'm in it. This is it. These things sort of creep up on you. I'm sort of incrementally putting them together, searching about, trying a little bit of this, bit of that, until it suddenly gets you in the gut, and you go, I think this is it, and go for it.
Andy, let me ask you a question, if I may. For all the people that you've inspired throughout your career, who's inspired Andy Summers?
Well, many people. You can't just, so there's no one, there's no model. It's music, that's I've taken in over the years. Also, I think you have to be your own inspiration. You know, it's like, are you genuinely musically curious? Do you want to know what those chords are? Do you want to know how this was done? Do you go there? You know, I mean, obviously, start with the guitar. You want to be very good, presumably. You're a guitarist. I mean, there's certain things you see people doing. You wonder how to do it. You finally figure that out. Then you move on to the next one. And then along with that goes, you know, your ear and your intellectual interest in composition, harmony. So it comes from many places, you know, obviously, you know, classical music, a lot of jazz in my case. You know, first thing when I was a kid was jazz. You know, trying to figure out, you know, how chord progressions were made. And then, you know, later how you solo over chords. Of course, this leads on to, you know, other musics, you know. I mean, I think you just stay completely fascinated by music. Keep finding out how to do it on your instrument. That's the way forward. And it hasn't gone away from me. I'm just as interested as I ever was.
Beautiful.
You know?
And let me tell you who's a fan of yours.
Making records. Sorry?
Let me tell you one of your contemporaries who's a big fan of yours, and is a personal friend of mine, and his name is Al Di Meola. And when I told Al you were coming on the show, he said, please tell Andy, and I won't say it because of the ears out there. Oh, you know, I'll say it. Please tell Andy he's one bad motherfucker. And that is from the lips of Mr. Al Di Meola. So, and he's digging on the album because it's very much like the Elegant Gypsy kind of a vibe. The contrast of all different styles. So,
he's, you know, he's a great musician, and to hear it from that level is very flattering. No question. You know, I mean, as someone with the knowledge, you know,
absolutely.
Yeah, I take it all. You know, it's very nice to get any feedback, you know, that's positive like that. You know. Because one, you know, Andy, you go on alone, and you hope, you know, sort of making these sort of imaginings in my head, these barriers, and then sort of trying to break them down, and I just wonder if it's going to sit in the world or not. You know, it takes a lot of vulnerability. It's what people ask about musicians, and I say, well, you've got to be very vulnerable, or artists. You've got to be like a bleeding open wound, and at the same time you have to develop a sort of mental toughness as well. It's a hard path to walk. You know, it's not all business. You know, you're creating art. You've got to be very vulnerable to receive the spirits, if you like. So, you know, it's vulnerability and toughness to get through it. I want to make a life out of it.
Andy, do the listeners and yourself a favor for your business itself. Do you want to go ahead and share everything about Andy Summers, your URL, and how they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I've got all the standard stuff. I think I'm on Facebook, obviously. I have andysummers.com website. I don't do much on Twitter because it doesn't really interest me. I think we've actually got one. What's the other one? I've got all the social media set up. I mean, it's very easy to find. You know, I'm definitely on Facebook. So we post everything there. Then, of course, I have the website and info at andysummers.com if you want to get in touch with me.
Beautiful. Andy, I just want to thank you on behalf of Jackie's Groove and Nerd Talk Radio Network. You have now graced us. We've been blessed with the Al Di Meolas. We've been blessed with the coming up Carlos Santana the next couple months. I got to tell you, you made me smile. You've made my audience smile worldwide. We thank you immensely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being Andy Summers, and thank you for your heart, and thank you for taking the time out on an early day on Tuesday. So with that said, Andy, God bless my friend. Godspeed. Knock 'em dead. Everybody, Triboluminescence. Go out, hunt it, search it. iTunes, Amazon. Purchase this amazing work of art. Andy, thank you so much, my friend. Godspeed, and we'll talk to each other down the road.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. All the best. Thanks. Cheers.
Peace. This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.